Welcome back to The Critique. Today, we're diving into Alberto Daniel Hill's Satoshi's Bride, a complex meta-narrative about a digital thanatologist in a relationship with Satoshi Nakamoto, who exists as a collective consciousness.
And what an idea. I mean, the intellectual architecture here is just staggering. Alberto framing love as a Byzantine general's problem. It's structurally exceptional. The scaffolding is absolutely there.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Let's talk about maximizing the reader's journey through all this conceptual density.
Exactly. The narrative's greatest strength is its intricate thematic web. But the sheer volume of unique ideas, of layers and character identities, it risks creating what you might call consensus lag for the reader.
Consensus lag. I like that. It's that feeling of being overloaded with setup before the real conflict kicks in.
Right. You see it in the opening character details. Valentina's past jobs, professional cuddler, pet hypnotist, director of ideation, they're all so rich.
And then you have Satoshi's full 7-day schedule of shifting personas.
Yeah, and thematically it's brilliant. But when you present all of that up front, it can feel a little bit like homework, instead of organic color.
So that's the weakness we're looking at. The details are honestly too good to cut, but relying on that much exposition to introduce every single term and persona, it really slows the momentum.
It does, and you risk overwhelming the reader before they even meet the loom breakers, who are the central ideological threat.
So the suggestion here is to, refocus the detail?
I think so. Focus the character detail only on what is immediately necessary for the plot or, for defining that core emotional friction.
And let the rest of it come out later.
Let the rest of the quirky jobs and the other personas just manifest organically during the action.
Okay, let's make that more concrete. How would that work with Satoshi's consciousness? Right now, we get the whole weekly consciousness schedule up front.
Right, which is fascinating, but a lot to track. So instead of detailing all 7, you could highlight just the crucial ones that drive the plot forward.
Like the Thursday one.
Exactly, the Thursday British anarchist persona. He's the one who has that disastrous, bloody hard Genesis block slip up on the first date. He's essential.
Okay. And then maybe the Monday one?
Yeah, the Monday American pragmatist. You bring him in only when the story needs someone to logically process the threat from the loom breakers. The other 5, you can just hint at them.
Through dialogue or a sudden accent shift?
A mood swing, anything. It becomes discovery for the reader, not a list to memorize.
And what about Valentina's job, the digital thanatologist?
That role is just too potent to be left as a kind of humorous side detail.
So you're saying integrated more directly?
I think you have to. Make her digital thanatologist work an immediate covert operation for the loom breakers. What if her funeral elegies for AIs are actually a way for them to siphon residual data from the systems they mourn?
Oh, that's good.
It connects her job directly to her anti-technology philosophy from page 1.
It makes her occupation an engine for the conflict itself, not just a biographical note. That really consolidates the density.
Exactly. Consolidate density and you maximize the flow.
Okay, so once we've streamlined that delivery, we can really focus on how these elements clash. And that brings us to the introduction of El Fantasma.
The lovesick hacker?
He's such a crucial, visceral foil to the abstract nature of Satoshi.
He is, but this bizarre love triangle element needs to be fully integrated into the central conflict rather than just serving as a brief emotional, soft fork.
Well, the chapter where he launches that denial of service attack on Satoshi's emotional network is so strong.
It's fantastic.
It forces Satoshi to experience jealousy as a logical Sybil attack. It perfectly embodies that theme of messy, real chaos over sterile, perfect order.
I completely agree. That scene is a major high point. The weakness, though, is that the whole storyline just seems to dissipate. It evaporates once the narrative pivots to the loom breakers' 51% attack.
Yeah, it does feel a bit dropped.
And we've set up this incredible contrast, right? Satoshi is pure cryptographic trust, and El Fantasma is pure, messy, human volatility. If he just vanishes, we lose such a valuable thematic tool.
And you lose the master of exploiting human weakness, which is the one thing that Satoshi, the master of protocols, can't really compute.
That is the exact angle we need to beef up. The suggestion here is to utilize El Fantasma's expertise and his emotional volatility as a necessary, complex third vector in the climax.
So you force the protagonists to rely on a non-ideological, totally centralized human source of chaos.
Precisely. Make him a complicated helper who's driven by self-interest, not just some simple rival who disappears.
How would you do that? How do you make his intervention feel high stakes, but also in character for him?
Well, imagine El Fantasma, the master of social engineering, unintentionally discovers a key vulnerability in the Loombreaker's master plan.
Okay.
Maybe he finds it while he's trying to hack Satoshi to win Valentina back. And he shares this critical information not for the greater good, but, in exchange for Valentina's attention.
So it forces Satoshi, the embodiment of trustless systems, to rely on an untrusted, emotionally volatile hacker to save them.
It becomes the ultimate test of their relationship security protocol.
That makes the choice so much richer. Satoshi has to accept human chaos as a necessary component for survival.
Absolutely. And you could show his involvement during the global Proof of Bazaar event. Maybe he's the one who orchestrates the final digital quiet they need to escape. But he does it for his own purely sentimental reasons.
His personal, chaotic inconvenience.
Yes! And that highlights the difference between the Loombreaker's philosophical inconvenience and the unpredictable power of, unrequited love. It keeps the human element right at the forefront.
Even during a digital war.
Especially then. It keeps the energy high, the stakes personal.
Okay. And this all leads us to that spectacular climax. I have to say, the Proof of Bazaar counterattack is just brilliantly creative.
Oh, it's incredible. Snake milkers on Wall Street, the professional cuddlers in Times Square, it's conceptually dynamite.
But let's look at the resolution. The final act of hard forking into a distributed, autonomous organization of love. It just needs one final physical anchor to really nail that anti-convenience theme.
Right. That's the key. The weakness is that the resolution, the couple merging their consciousnesses on a quantum-proof blockchain, it's very philosophical. It risks feeling too abstract.
Which kind of contradicts the entire Loombreaker philosophy, right? Their whole thing is favoring physical struggle and friction over digital ease.
Exactly. If the resolution is just this pure, seamless digital transcendence, you accidentally undermine the argument that love is about shared physical friction.
And that struggle is so critical, especially because we know from the author's notes that the whole story is a personal protocol for the heart, a way to process trauma.
So that final moment of transcendence, it has to retain a tangible, inconvenient element. It has to validate the conflict. If they just ascend, they've chosen ease over struggle, which is exactly what the Loombreakers warned against.
So the suggestion is to add some kind of sensory intrusion right at the end.
Right before the final connection. When they initiate that hard fork, focus on a sensory detail that is messy and inconvenient, something that forces them to commit to physical reality one last time.
Okay, give me an example.
For instance, maybe the smell of the Parisian odor judge's bespoke scent. Fresh baguettes, ancient books, existential dread. It drifts through their soundproof penthouse.
Wow.
It becomes the final, unavoidable data packet they have to process together.
A profoundly human one. A commitment to the very messiness they're choosing.
It works because it forces both the human and the collective consciousness to process a physical, unavoidable, and deeply inconvenient reality right at the moment they achieve their own sovereignty.
And that ties into the meta-narrative.
It has to. You must explicitly link that final transaction memo, the Times, 03, Jan 2029, Chancellor on brink of Second Enlightenment, link it back to the psychological purpose of the whole story.
So the Second Enlightenment isn't just a clever phrase?
No, it's the successful creation of the author's personal psychological framework. It's the protocol for the heart that he used to overcome his own trauma. That elevates the ending from just a clever twist to something intensely personal and earned.
It becomes about reclaiming self-sovereignty after having your identity compromised by a broken, centralized system.
That's it. That reframes the entire concept beautifully.
Alberto, the core concept here is just phenomenal. I mean, truly.
Absolutely. These suggestions are purely aimed at maximizing the narrative's emotional and thematic impact.
So, to summarize the key actionable suggestions for Alberto Danel Hill, we're looking at a work of profound genius that's just ready for its final polish.
First, streamline that thematic density. Just prune back the early character exposition, the full Satoshi schedule, Valentina's list of jobs, and let those details emerge through action. It prevents that consensus lag.
Second, fully integrate the El Fantasma love triangle. Leverage his chaotic storyline. Use him as that necessary, messy third vector whose human interference is actually key to defeating the Loom Breakers.
Force Satoshi to trust chaos.
Exactly. And third, ground that brilliant hard fork resolution. Anchor that final transcendence with one last, messy, inconvenient physical detail, like that Parisian scent, to validate the whole philosophical struggle against convenience.
It ensures your personal protocol for the heart feels fully resolved and completely earned.
The structural bones of Satoshi's Bride are exceptional. These steps are really just designed to sharpen the reader's experience and maximize the emotional resonance of what is clearly a deeply personal meta-narrative. We really look forward to seeing how these elements strengthen the story. Please submit the revised draft back to us for another critique.